All right, boys. So we're doing week 12 of the NFL. Some of the picks here. We got the debate on here in the back. Just kind of been watching this for entertainment value, really. But without Trump up there, it's not as entertaining. Let's just say that. Anyways, week 12, the NFL. We got some good games this week. I'm going to be doing this against the spread. I'm going to try to make the video relatively short. I know I try to do it in 5 minutes, but it'll probably be more like 10 or 15. Just to preface this, a lot of the insight's going to be stuff that I've noticed throughout the course of the year, and I guess some of the stuff in the last few weeks. It's going to be an aggregate of that, as well as, again, just some of the going against what a lot of the public will do, right? That's something that goes into it as well, being a contrarian. But the first game is going to be the Colts and the Texans. Texans got creamed last week by the Ravens. I don't really put too much stock into that because the Ravens, I think, are the best team in the league and are consistently beating the top teams. Now, the Colts, again, we had Brian Hoyer out there for a few weeks and wasn't looking very good. I was against the Colts last week, or I picked against them, right? I didn't think that they were going to... I didn't think really that they were even going to win the game, but they did, and it was convincing. And Brissett looks good. I think the line here is 3.5. I know the Texans are at home. I'm going to go ahead and take the Indianapolis Colts plus 3.5. Close game. I think with 3.5 though. I think again, either way, with a field goal, you're going to win the game if it stays within 3. The next game we got Dolphins at Browns. This is an early one as well. Pretty simple here. I don't think the Browns should be favored by more than probably 7.5 points against anyone, no matter who it is. I don't think the Dolphins aren't very good, but with Fitzpatrick back there, I think they'll be able to put up anywhere from 17 to 27 points, and that would mean that the Browns would have to score at least 25 points probably to cover this spread. Which again, it could happen, but I think more times than not, the game's going to be within 10 points. 10.5 points, I'll take the Miami Dolphins in that game. The third pick here, Lions, Redskins. This is one that I would never bet this game. I think it's 3.5 with the Redskins at home. Redskins kind of laid an egg last week against the Jets. It was the Redskins, I think it was -1 for the Redskins. I took the Redskins last week, and they didn't play very well. I just think that's because they're not a very good team. They've consistently looked terrible. The only win is over the Dolphins, and that was like a barn burner game. Came down to a poorly executed Ryan Fitzpatrick 2-point conversion play. Other than that, they'd still be winless on the year. So I think the Lions, even with the Driscoll guy, can come out and probably score. They scored 27 points last week against Dallas. I don't know how much stock I put in that, but this is just a game that you would never. Again, I probably think the Lions will win the game, but as far as the points goes, it's 3.5. It's the Redskins at home. I wouldn't be surprised if the Redskins lost by a lot, but just because it's the home team, I'm getting 3.5 points. And the Lions are also very, we're uncertain about the Lions. We don't know what we're going to get. I'll take the Redskins plus 3.5. Again, not anything that you'd want to bet on, but just with the points, I'll go ahead and take Washington at 3.5. This game is probably like the best game of the week, I think, as far as value. You got the Oakland Raiders going into New York. The Jets coming off a pretty big win against the Redskins. I mean, as far as I think it really wasn't even close, but it's the Raiders -3 here. That's the play. The Jets, I think, are 3-7. The Raiders are 6-4. The Raiders coming off a couple of big wins and have been playing well. I know they beat the Bengals last week only by 7. I mean, it wasn't a great game by them, but I think they're clearly the better football team here. I know the New York Jets are at home, but I would just be really surprised if the Raiders didn't win this game by at least 7 points. If it's a close game, that would be a surprising thing to me. I think the running game, if Oakland can establish a running game with Jacobs and, as long as Carr is marginal and let's just say if he only has one turnover, I think they're going to win the game. That's typically true with any game, but I think Darnold is more susceptible to turning the ball over. and I think Oakland can capitalize on that and win the game. Something like, I don't know, 24-13 or maybe 24-17, something like that, along the lines of that. Anywhere from 7 to potentially up to like 15, 17 points. So I'll take the Raiders -3. The Giants and the Bears, this is one where, the home team, it's -6. It's a little bit of a weird line. The Bears scored 7 total points. I know it was against the Rams, but they don't really look like they can do anything on offense. I don't know if Chase Daniel's going to be starting, but Mitchell Trubisky, I don't think he can score more than maybe he can get 20 points like on a really good day this year, but I think the Giants are capable of keeping up with that, and I'm getting 6 points. I think if the Bears win the game, I think it'll be a close one, and I think the Bears could potentially get blown out by the Giants. I don't think the Giants are any good, but I don't think the Bears are. I think the Bears are even worse. So I think this line is probably 3 or 3.5. 6 I think is just too high. I'm going to take the Giants and the points on the road. Panthers Saints. Similar situation here, divisional game. The Panthers got blown out last week. I think it was 27 or 29-3. Not a very good showing by them. The Saints had a good win against the Buccaneers, bouncing back from that big upset at home versus Atlanta, where they lost. I think it was 26-11 or something like that. I don't really put much stock into that loss. It was a divisional game. I think the Saints, again, you're going to have 1 or 2 games like that a year where the team just doesn't play that well. The Falcons, I think, we always knew they were capable to play like that, but they just haven't been. So 9.5 points here is the line. Again, can the Saints come in here and blow this game open and win 34-20 or 37-17? Absolutely, they could. But I think more times than not, the Panthers are going to make this a game. I still think the Saints win, but anywhere from 3 to even up to 10 points, right? That's going to be more realistic. So 9.5. Of course, you'd rather have 10 or 10.5, but I'll still take the Panthers here to have a little bit of a bounce back performance. It's a divisional game, and they'll keep it close. Seahawks Eagles. This is also one that I feel good about. I mean, I know most people are going with the Seahawks. It is in Philadelphia, and I think the Seahawks are catching 1.5, so they're getting plus 1.5. Contrarian theory would say to take the Eagles. I'm going to go ahead and take the Seahawks here, though. They're 8-2. I don't think anyone could tell me they wouldn't. I don't even think Lamar Jackson. I think, if you could have one quarterback that you trust to make the right decision and to lead your team to a victory, it's Russell Wilson. He's shown it this year. Seattle's defense hasn't been, it's a huge downgrade from what it has been with Russell Wilson over the years. Back when they had the Legion of Boom and all that stuff. But he's, if they need to score 40 points, they do it. They beat the Buccaneers 40-34. He's consistently put up 30 to 40 points in a lot of games this year because that's what his teams needed to win. The defense is giving up points, and he is able to match that. And they've actually been, I think, undefeated on the road. They've lost both the games at home to Baltimore and New Orleans, who, again, Baltimore and New Orleans are probably 2 Super Bowl contending teams, right? Those are their only losses. So I think Seattle wins the game, and in Seattle fashion, they're probably going to win it, and they'll probably let the Eagles stick around. But again, do I trust Carson Wentz? Absolutely not. I don't think he's even that good, really. I was surprised they kept him over Foles. I mean, Foles is only a couple of years older than him, I think, and again, that's all my opinion, right? I just think, Carson Wentz has been injured. He can't, absolutely, can he play well? Yes. But is he, I think the biggest thing in the NFL is are you consistent? It's no different than this next game. It's the Buccaneers. It's Jameis Winston. It's can you play well one week and win a game over a good team? Yeah. But can we rely on you every single week to do that? And I think the answer to him is no. I mean, they scored 10 points against New England. It was a close game, but mostly because New England only scored 17, right? New England is having their own problems. Um, Again, the Eagles are capable of being a good team. Totally, they are. But I think Seattle is going to match that intensity and win in a close game. And even if you lose, again, 1.5 is basically pick 'em, but 28-27, 24-23, that's going to be a win for the Seahawks. I think it's about a pick 'em game, or really, I think Seattle should be favored. So I'll take the Seahawks plus 1.5. Buccaneers, Falcons. I was initially thinking about taking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers plus, I think, 4 or 4.5. I'm going to go ahead and lay the points with the Falcons. I think the Falcons are coming. They're having a little bit of a resurgence here, right? The Buccaneers, like I said before with the Eagles, the Buccaneers are totally capable of coming out and playing a great game, but they tend to keep things close. Even when they got up, I think it was 21-0 or 21-7 against the Seahawks, they let Seattle get right back in the game. So it could happen where I turn on the TV and it's 14-0 Tampa Bay, but I don't think Atlanta would be out of the game. Tampa Bay lets you back in the game. Jameis Winston screws up a lot, and it's very rare for him not to have a fumble or multiple interceptions in a game. So that's why with Tampa Bay, you look at all their games. Typically, they're all pretty close games, and they end up losing them. That's typically what happens, right? Even the games, I think, even that game they won against the Rams, they scored like 55 points or something like that, 55 points. So I think the game, it could be like a back and forth type game. I don't really see a way Tampa Bay wins the game. Like I think the Falcons are going to win. I think the Falcons are going to win by probably like at least 10 points. Again, could be wrong here, but Falcons at home, coming off a couple big wins, looking like they've caught. I know they made a couple of changes in the coaching staff, and it's looked like they maybe are trending in the right direction here. So I'll go ahead and lay the 4.5 or 5 or whatever it is with Atlanta and say that they're going to win by more than a touchdown, which I think they will. Okay, let's see. Okay, I got to kind of speed up here. Broncos, Bills. I like the Broncos and the points here. The Broncos, 20-0, they couldn't get the win against Minnesota. Minnesota played really well in the second half, coming off that terrible first half. I've been with the Bills earlier in the year, but I just think, again, most of their games are just pretty close. I know they had the blowout win against Miami, but again, that's Miami last week. I think this game will be a close game, and I wouldn't be surprised if it was like 20-17 or 19-17, a result like that, where either team wins. So I think it'll be close. If I'm getting 4 points, I'll take the Denver Broncos here. If it was like 2.5, I'd probably lay the points with the Bills. But 4 points, that's a field goal. So give me the Denver Broncos and give me the 4 points. Steelers, Bengals, it's 7 points. The Bengals are getting 7 points at home. The Steelers' offense is anemic. They haven't been able to do anything. They're not going to be able to do anything with Mason Rudolph. He's terrible. The Bengals aren't great. I wouldn't expect them to score more than like 13 points or maybe 13 to 17 points. Anything more than that is absolutely going to be a cover. But I would look for this to be like a 17-13, 17-14, 20-17 type game where the Steelers probably will win, but I think the Bengals will cover at home. And this could be an opportunity for the Bengals to get their first win. I mean, they're 0-10. The Steelers, they won 3 or 4 games in a row, but against like a good team, you saw, they scored 7. Or the Browns aren't even that good. They scored 7 points. And they weren't really able to move the ball at all. I mean, I watched a lot of that game, and it was terrible. Rudolph was terrible. They got absolutely nothing going. There was no flow. And I think that's truly who they are with a bad quarterback. You need a good quarterback in order to move the ball downfield. He's touching the ball every single play. Jags, Titans. This is like, I think, Tennessee -3. I've gone with the Jaguars and taken points this year, and it hasn't worked out. Again, that's not really a good theory for not doing it again. But the Titans are kind of a weird team. I mean, they beat the Chiefs in a game which was I had the Chiefs in that game, and I was just disgusted. I mean, they missed like 2 field goals. It was just a joke, the Chiefs, that game. But the Titans, I mean, they're better than you think. It's not pretty, but they're able to move the ball downfield. They're able to score. I think they scored 35 points. They've shown that they can score some points. Nick Foles didn't look great. I think they scored only 13 points in the game last week. So laying 3 points here, I don't think it's that big a deal. I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans at home. And I wouldn't be surprised if Jacksonville comes out, 10-0 or 13-0 or 14-0. But Tennessee is totally capable of coming back. I thought the game, they've shown it multiple times this year where it's just an ugly way they come back and they're in the game and then they cover, right? Or they win the game, kind of in an epic fashion. So I'm going to lay the 3 with the Titans. I hope I'm wrong here. I like Nick Foles, and I want him to do well in Jacksonville, but I think the Titans are, with just 3 points, I'll go ahead and lay the points. Patriots, Cowboys, this is totally a trap game. The line's 6.5. You absolutely have to lay the points here with the Patriots. You have to, again, I'm totally able to reassess the Cowboys, but not until they do something that impresses me. The only wins they have are against teams that are terrible. You hear it on the news all the time, but the teams that they've beaten have terrible records. It's like they lost to the Jets, and I think the winning record of the teams they've actually beat is just like terrible. It's probably like 25%. So, Cowboys, if you guys win or even keep the game competitive against New England, I'll go ahead and reassess the situation. But I can't pick you even against a point spread until you show me that really you can win one of these games. I mean, let's go out there and beat the Patriots if you guys really think you have something here at New England. I know New England's struggling. They said that for the last multiple years of Tom Brady. He's done. He's old. But he always seems to come back. They're in the AFC Championship game almost every year, and they go to the Super Bowl, it seems like almost every year. So I'm going to lay the 6.5, and I think this game could be like a 14-point game. I think New England can convincingly win this game. I'm not saying Dallas. I would just be surprised if Dallas were to win the game or really even keep it competitive. If Dallas loses by like a field goal or keeps it really competitive, then I'll be then I'll have to kind of reassess my thinking. But right now, I think the Patriots are just better than the Cowboys. They're better coached, and really that's what it. The Cowboys roster is really talented, but it's very clear we're at New England. We have the best quarterback of all time. We have the way better coach. I'm rooting for you, Cowboys, because I know you guys get a lot of hype, but I just think the Patriots. I'm fine laying 6.5 points. I think the Patriots will win convincingly. 49ers, Packers, this is a 3-point game as well, with the Niners being favored at home. I'm going to go ahead and lay the 3 here. The last time Aaron Rodgers came to California was not good. I had Aaron Rodgers in that game, let me down big. I think it was 26-10 or 26-11 or something like that. Similar game to the Falcons game, in which they beat the Saints. I think it was a similar score. But I'd have to say Aaron Rodgers. That's why when you do any sort of parlays, you see Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, Tom Brady. You're like, hey, I got the best quarterback here. I know even if it's not a pretty game, I can trust this quarterback to get the job done. Aaron Rodgers did not get the job done that day. He looked terrible. Had a bounce back game, I think, after that, and I think that was at home. But I think that was just an odd game for Aaron Rodgers. I think they maybe were out doing something in LA and rolled into what they thought would be an easy game, and they got blown out by Phillip Rivers, which, believe me, that's after what I saw with them against the Chiefs. I don't think the Chargers are anything special. So, I think the Niners should win this game. If it were 3.5 points, I might consider the Packers, but 3 points, that's basically saying even if we win by a field goal, it's still a push. I think the Niners have to win this game. They came off a really good game against Seattle. I think Seattle's one of the best teams in the league. And then they really, last week against Arizona, obviously those are both divisional opponents, but Arizona very easily could have won that game. I mean, they had like 3 minutes left in the game, and Arizona couldn't get a first down. They punted it back. Of course, the Niners got a touchdown, and then you had that, basically where they were trying to get the ball and they fumbled it, and they ended up winning by like 10 points. So the score doesn't really reflect how close of a game it was. I think Arizona was up like 16-0. So I think Arizona is better than a lot of people think, but the 49ers should win this game. Again, wouldn't be surprised if Green Bay does, but it's at home. The 49ers schedule does not get any easier. They have like 5 games coming up that are like incredibly hard. So I think they're going to be ready to go here, and they're going to win. I'm going to say they're going to win by like 6 or 7 points at home against the Packers. Ravens, Rams, I'm going to go against, or I'm going to go with the public here. The Ravens have been destroying people. The Rams, beat the Bears 17-7. That doesn't impress me at all. And the Rams really haven't found their stride all year. The Ravens, I would say, are kind of the undisputed number 1 team in the league. 3.5 points with the Ravens, even if it's on the road, I'm totally fine laying that. Lamar Jackson is a different player. He turns 3rd and 7 on your own 30-yard line into 1st and 10 on the 30-yard line of the other team, right? Plays that literally 90% of other quarterbacks, they throw the ball away, they get sacked, they fumble, they run out of bounds. He's able to extend the play and turn it into a positive yardage play, move the sticks, and keep that defense on the field. So he's a different type of player. That's why you've seen the points be 41 points, 52 points, 59 points. I mean, they were capable of scoring a lot of points. And the defense is really good. So, frankly, I don't think the Rams are even going to have a chance in this game. 31-17. It could even be higher scoring than that. 3.5. If this game is close, then I'm wrong. Even if I end up winning this game at like 5 points, I'll be surprised. I think it'll be like at least a touchdown, but probably more that the Ravens win by. I'll up that. I'll say 10 points or more. I think the Ravens will win by at least 10 points. They're that much better than the Rams. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But they're playing so well right now, and the Rams, I don't think they're gonna get their act together against the best team in the league. I think if anything, it's gonna get worse for them before it gets better. So those are the picks there. I don't know. Hopefully I'll win, at least against the spread, probably at least 8 or 9 games. It's always the goal to just win more than you lose. Again, it's not like we're just picking, you're not just picking a team to win, right? Obviously, Steelers, Bengals, most people would say, well, I think the Steelers are going to win, but I'm picking against a spread here, right? So, of course, I would probably take the Steelers to win the game, but it's whether or not they're going to win by 7 points, right? So I'll go ahead and take, considering where the game ends most of the time, you take the team and you take the points, because most of the NFL games are, they're relatively close, competitive games for the most part. So you always have to factor that in. Anyways, let me know what you think. Put your picks in the bottom or something, and if you got any questions, let me know. Thanks.